supplies. Let's speak now to Sam Rose, who works for the United Nations Relief Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, or UNRWA, as its Director of Planning. He's in Deir el-Balah in Gaza. Hello to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Should we just talk briefly about that pause that the WHO said made no difference at all? Is that your experience as well?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, thanks for having me on. Yeah, the last few days have been difficult in terms of getting supplies in. Every day that this conflict continues, operations do become more difficult. And whilst there has been a pause that's been unilaterally announced, there's no meaningful ceasefire. We're still operating here in a conflict zone, which is very difficult, very dangerous, very stressful. So yeah, absolutely no improvements in the volume of humanitarian aid materials that we as UNRWA or the rest of the humanitarian community have been able to bring into Gaza through the Kerem Shalom border in the past few days. Sorry.
Yes, I mentioned that the pier and the US saying that 6,000 tons got in yesterday, but many of you guys out there are saying that's just a drop in the ocean.
I mean, it's a very small drop in a very big bucket. The situation here now is getting so complicated in terms of people's needs, which go far beyond trucks of food or boats worth of food. It's sanitation, it's healthcare, it's people's well-being and mental health, all of which contribute to a situation in which people are increasingly unable to care for themselves, to look after themselves. And what we're also seeing after 8 months of barbaric, savage conflict is a real breakdown in law and order. And that is having a dramatic impact and a serious impact in our ability as humanitarian organizations to operate through the Kerem Shalom crossing and bring aid in. It's become very difficult, very dangerous over the past few weeks.
So this is people attacking the aid convoys once they're into Gaza?
Yeah, once they get through, there's just a breakdown of law and order across southern Gaza Strip, similar to what we saw in the north a few months ago. After this type of conflict for this long, things just start to fall apart. Unfortunately, we're seeing increased lawlessness, increasingly apparently organized attacks and preparations to steal aid from convoys, which makes everyone's life much more difficult for us as aid agencies, but more importantly for the people in need on the other side who are not getting the supplies that they need from humanitarian organizations right now.
Well, and now the weather as well is 40 degrees, I'm hearing. That must be making things even harder for people needing shelter throughout the day and that sort of thing.
Shelter, healthcare, sanitation, water, everything. I mean, in the past 6 weeks in Rafah, we've had 1 million people forced to displace. They're moving to places where there is no proper infrastructure, no sewage. Aid operations that were geared towards providing that water to them in Rafah have had to reorient to different parts of Gaza, making it increasingly difficult. And as you say, the temperatures are getting hotter. Children at increased risk of dehydration, of organ failure, and ultimately death unless we're able to reverse this situation.
And we're hearing the UN saying that 67% of the water and sanitation system is destroyed. In terms of how people are getting water, so this is the pipes that are broken, isn't it, for the water inside Gaza? How are people getting any water if, as you're saying, it's so hard to get the aid supplies out?
I mean, the water infrastructure in Gaza has always been a problem. It was a problem before the conflicts, and it's got exponentially worse. As you said, I mean, Gaza gets water in 2 ways: through water pipes that come in from Israel, and also from desalination plants from wells that require fuel to power them. There's been an awful lot of destruction of that infrastructure over the past 7-8 months. So even if the pipes from Israel are working, they are not fully functional. And the desalination plants were located in areas based on catchment areas, based on where people were living. And when you've got this rapid, constant transfer and movement of population, those facilities are not equipped to deal with that capacity. And what you see every day in Gaza, it's a daily feature of life, is children running down the streets with buckets, with yellow jerry cans, running after the water truck that provides 1, 2, 3 liters, whatever it is a day, but far below their basic needs. And as I say, this is water not just for drinking, it's water for cleaning, for washing, for preparing food. And as a result of people doing this and using grey water, using poor quality water, increased sickness, increased diarrhea, skin infections, gastro problems as well. So a real catastrophe.
Okay, well, thank you so much for talking.